Anyway, now, what else can we say about trees?
Maybe we could talk about.
There was an oak that died, and then a lady came from England and she chiseled. She took a hammer and a chisel and she made these lines on it in different directions. You can see on those trees.
The sculptures there, guys.
So there are lots of things you can see that are not Here is from Connecticut. Connecticut, in the corners of their fields, they have a post. And that's in Connecticut. These here are Alaskan, they are Himalayan birch. So they grow in the Himalayas. And they shouldn't be here because they need a colder climate. So we have many different kinds of trees. Shall we go? Wellhead, and so we can have our own water. We don't use city water, we use well water to water. But this is a piece of art. This is a cellar door made of bronze. And this was a French washing machine. This one here, before we invaded as a plant. And all over the city of London, you know, England, they had these gas lamps, and Silas was there. And he read in the paper that they were selling them, so he bought 3 of them, these 2 and 1 more here. And in Essex County you have 1,800 gas lamps. We met the man that looks after all these gas lamps. He came and helped us fix these up. So here you get a view of the garden. All this area here is tropical. These are tropical plants. I had others hanging on the wall here, but they're too cold to take them in. These are tropicals, they've all died, but they used to stand 2 feet up. And these grow in trees. These do not have roots, these plants here. They hold the water in a cup like that. And they don't root down, they just need to be supported. And most often they grow actually in trees. In the forests you'll find them growing on branches and so on. And what do you think these are underneath here? What do they look like? These were columns which were in front of your high school before it was changed. You know how you've got the modern front? In high school when you enter, they used to have columns. And they weren't using them, and Silas rolled these home and then made a table out of them. And this was a tree that stood right there and died. And he had a sculptor make that into something that's about 30 years old. And on the side there's a hammer crook. The only requirement was that he keep the hammock if you look on this side. And there was another tree here, so the hammock was slung between these 2 trees. This tree is an Alaskan cedar. There are 3 of them in there. Some people call them grandfather trees, but they're quite lovely. This tree is called a yellowwood, and I thought it was from Virginia, and I found out it's from Tennessee, and it's very hard to find these in the wild. You can see the leaves up there, but it's almost extinct in the wild. The column over there also comes from Rome, and the piece on the top, the marble on the top, was made by the man who did this tree, and it did the cellar doors and many other pieces. This cat comes from England, made by a woman who did all these different animals that you see around here. Pieces over there, a cow over there.
What kind of fish are they?
They're golden orf.
I told you they weren't koi.
No, they're not koi, they're golden orf. If we feed them, they would jump, but I don't know any food. But these benches here were made of oak, but made in England by the lady who made the eggs on the front lawn. And this is granite from a man in Belgium who carved these pieces into these forms. These trees are quite interesting. You have many of them on the streets here in Nutley. And usually they're like this, a very pear-shaped tree. And here we've cut them and keep them trimmed. We have to do it 3 or 4 times in the season to keep the shape. But these are a tree that you can manipulate, and you can do them in arches, you can do them in various ways. With most trees you can't do that. This was made by a lady in England, a young woman. We read in a magazine that she'd made a gate for a family. And so we called her up and she came over. She made this for us. Here's my hand in the two-handed handle, so you can feel it as you go by.
Make sure you touch the handle. It's for his handprint.
What do you think that is? It's not a urinal. This is what most people think. It is called an earth sculpture because it goes into the earth.
Wait, let everybody come
And it's got a hole, so the water just goes through.
Where does it go? Where does it go? Does it go
Into the
directly in there?
Does that flood?
This goes down and soaks into the underground.
Does that ever flood?
No, it never floods. And this grass is a Japanese grass. We cut it once a year and that's how it stays most of the year. These trees here are Japanese trees. These are called stewardia. They have a very beautiful bark. And they're a tree that needs to be under other trees. They don't want to have full sun. They need a canopy over their heads to help them survive. So, this was the original garden, and all this was the family, and these were all the family homes around. But then it went into ruin, and you couldn't see in here. It had Norway maples, very dark, raccoons, wild dogs. It was very messy, and we obtained this land in 2004, and then we cleared it all out. We kept the oaks, and we brought in earth and made these berms, we call them, hills, and we planted them with one grass in 4 different colors. It's a Japanese grass. So it makes a very big space here. Now this tree is quite fascinating. I had a group here on Friday, and this is a holly tree. And the group that came were all members of the Holly Society in America. So there's a whole group of people who only study this tree and its variations.
It wasn't a Christmas club?
No, hollies, not a Christmas tree. There is 1 week in the life of this tree that if everything is right, the bees are there, if there's no rain, if it's whatever it needs, then they fertilize and you get the berries. So obviously this year it was good because I've never seen it in such color. It's a plant from Brazil. You can feel it. Feel those leaves.
Guys, touch it. There's one here too.
Isn't that amazing? Interesting about this tree is I made a mistake. I gave it too much nitrogen. So the leaves got very big, but I got no flowers. So it just made leaves. These came too late to flower. It's too cold. So that's how variable these things are. Very early tree on Earth, found in the Himalayas in India. And you can see it's not a complex tree like the oak. It's hard to imagine that the oak, when it puts out a branch, the branch comes from the base. It doesn't just decide to put out a branch. It's already in its growth that it'll branch. These just shoot out. Look how they grow. This is a very early tree. It was lost and then it came back, and it's now a popular tree called a dawn redwood or metasequoia, great sequoia. This is a bull from Africa. It has no connection to our cattle. Completely different roots. And it has the big lap that you find in some of the gazelles and so on, and the hump. So this is a good place to look at the oaks. It's often hard to see to the top of an oak. Because when we drive in cars, we don't see all the way up. But here you can see these 10-story buildings. Quite amazing trees.
But you have to feel what's underneath it. No, look, come here. Just touch it.
Very soft.
And then spank it. So if you guys peel a piece off of it and then feel underneath it, feel what it feels like. So cool. How cool is that?
Now that oak over there is one of the biggest in town. You see that one there? That is 14 feet at the base. Who knows?
You gotta cut it and find out.
Who knows? We'll only know when it comes down. And the ones that were worked on the front, the eggs on the front lawn, they were about 150 years. So you can see this one, 250, a long, long time. This tree here is a lightning rod. Night is very prone to be hit by lightning. And what are these here? Bamboo. They're called clumping bamboo. They don't, most bamboo runs. We've got some over there that is a running bamboo. And I keep it in a trench, 2 feet down, 3 feet down, metal, stop it from running. But these don't run, but they clump. And those are Norway maples. If you have them in the garden, they will make a big show and they will grow tall and you'll grow absolutely nothing underneath them because they take all the food, they take all the water and they just absorb it. Now this garden is not a traditional garden. We call it a contemporary garden. It's not about lots of individual plants. It's about the massing of plants to make architectural form. And as you see here, you can see these have all been cut. Look at the layers. You've got a low one there, high, and so it goes steps up. And you can see how it's done here. These are columns from India. These are about 400 years old. I brought them from there. These are plants made by students, art students, and they used highway signs to make these decorations.
I see it.
These white trees are Asian dogwoods. You know the American dogwoods? Well, this is an Asian dogwood, and it's variegated, which means that it's white and green. And some people call it a Christmas cake tree or a wedding cake tree. It said to go up one year and out the next. So you see this layered effect of the tree. And the tree there, the brown tree, you see those tall ones there, that is a copper beech. Usually it's a very big, broad tree. This one's grown as a multi-trunk tree. It was found in Holland in a compost area. So when we got those trees, they were very new to America. They had just arrived. That is a pre-Columbian design. That comes from Peru.
They like riveted it out?
Just riveted it out, stamped with a pointed object and beaten. Tropical garden. These are tropical plants here. They come from Florida, and we treat them as annuals. They're dying now, but they stood about 18 inches high. But we use a lot of tropical plants because in the summer we are tropical. You may not think about it that way, but we are. That is a wellhead. It's from Long Island. When you had a well, you needed stone to be able to go put your bucket down. So we found this in a nursery and we brought it here and we made this so you hear the water, you just have a greenhouse here so we can keep many of the tropical plants that you've seen around, we can keep them there through the winter. Suddenly the world changed.
Can I show them the bricks? Would you mind?
What?
So the bricks out here, right? You're outside. So when you go in here, they had somebody come and lay the bricks the same exact way. So when you go inside, they look like you're outside. How neat is that?
Can we go in there?
The wire and then make it into a ball. Very complicated to do that. come from the streets of Nutley. When they pulled up the sidewalks, we bought the stones.
Wait, can you say that?
This is Nutley brownstone. You see what it looks like over there? This we dug up. It wasn't from the quarry. It came out of the ground here when we were working. We said, well, let's keep it. And we've got some more on the street front there, you'll see.